Hello everyone, and welcome to a slightly new look Androidizen. We've upgraded our capture station, and now as you can see we're producing high resolution graphics for you of all of the latest games. So we thought what better way to kick things off with than, well, Stargate on your mobile phone. Stargate computer games have had a rather tumultuous existence after the show ended. Lots of attempts to bring a Stargate game that was of any good onto any platform, and generally they have failed miserably. So when we hear that there's a Stargate adventure story kind of interactive game that they're producing with really good 3D graphics, and more importantly all of the cast are taking part, well, we have to consider this could be the one. So what exactly are they doing for this Stargate game? Well, to put it quite simply, it's an action-adventure game with a strong story and narrative, just like the show. All of the main principal actors are taking part. They've recorded their own dialogue, including Richard Dean Anderson. So everyone is back. Unfortunately, some of the extras, as it were, or non-principal characters and actors who aren't present in the game. For instance, the General Hammond, unfortunately that actor did die a few years ago and has been replaced by a not perfect voice reproduction, sadly. But as you can see, the game starts with a classic kind of Stargate opening. A Goa'uld has been uncovered and has taken control of a human being and is basically causing absolute chaos. It opens up with this very, very cool opening introduction, which kind of sets the scene of what's initially happening. We're not going to spoil the story too much, just playing through the first sort of 5 minutes or so to give you an idea of what the gameplay entails. Now essentially it's a series of cover shooting elements with quick time events, and so you'll have to duck into cover and so on. You'll have to then pop out, kill whoever happens to be in front of you. They'll also be behind cover. Avoid their shots coming in from the staffs. You can see there, if you take too much damage, that will be reflected on your character, and you have to kind of stay behind cover and wait until your health basically comes back to full. Then you can carry on shooting. And you can see now we've just completed that section, so I now go into a bit of a free movement at this point where I have to run around. Very much a third-person game, pick up a bit of ammunition there. At this point, it's turned into a little bit of a quick time game. So I've obviously an environmental puzzle of sorts. So I have to tap in exactly the right spot to be able to move past that obstacle. And again here, another slight variation on that. I have to swipe in the right direction just to edge along. And these things aren't making a major kind of impact on gameplay or anything like that. It really is just a kind of adding to the ambience and the story of the game. I think what I really love about what the developers have achieved here is they've managed to capture the spirit of the show. And so far in all of the kind of games that for Stargate that have ever come out, it's never really quite grabbed it. That what it feels like to me is, those great games by Telltale Games, I think it is, The Walking Dead, Back to the Future games. It feels like it has that vibe going on. Do you know what I mean? It understands the source material, it understands what it has to deliver to create gameplay, as well as capturing that feel of the show that we all loved. Some of the controls are working better than others. There was a little segment there where I had to shoot a fire extinguisher, and unfortunately the actual aiming control is really sloppy, far too twitchy in my opinion, and so it took me a good couple of goes there before I was able to actually hit the fire extinguisher. Now maybe that's intentional, but it just made me feel like controls could have done with a little bit of tightening up on that particular segment. Now again here we're back into some cover shooting mechanics. As you can see, the graphics are absolutely fantastic. They're maybe not quite as crisp. The texturing on the uniforms, for instance, the badges, you can see they're not particularly great. And again, when you see in some of the cutscenes, whilst the faces look pretty good, the actual uniforms don't look particularly great. They're quite low resolution textures, etc., which is a bit of a shame. And here I was having a slight problem with the good old grenades. Just trying to actually throw a grenade. There we go. Duck back into cover and open up, and you see I took some damage there, and the screen has gone slightly red. The good old way of being able to show that you've taken too much damage. Now, if you look at the character, he's now sort of taking a bit of a crouch and holding his arms because he's, you know, taken some damage. And it's just really nice. It adds to that flavour of the game. And just, you know, makes you realise you're going to have to keep your head down for a minute while you recover. I've recovered, and we'll open up a little bit more again. But all in all, really impressed with this title. It is a premium title, as it were. It's going to cost you around £3.50, I think it is. There is only the first chapter. It looks like they're going to have in-app purchases to open up more of the story over time. So it is a game that they, you know, it's something I think to invest in, because obviously over time to complete the story is going to take you know, probably a fair amount of money, I would say, if they're maybe looking around, say, £2 per episode or £3 per episode.